You're lying in bed, head pounding, throat on fire, nose running like a tap. You've already Googled your symptoms 3 times and convinced yourself you're dying. You've ordered DoorDash, bought some paracetamol, maybe even booked a doctor's appointment. Now here's the question nobody asks. What did people do before any of that existed? Not 100 years ago. Not in medieval times. I mean before. Before hospitals. Before medicine. Before anyone even knew what a germ was. Because humans have been getting sick for 2 million years. And somehow, most of them survived. Here's what's strange. When we talk about ancient humans, we focus on how they hunted, what they ate, how they built things. But we almost never ask what happened when they got sick. What did they do? Because doing nothing wasn't really an option. A sick hunter couldn't hunt. A sick mother couldn't feed her children. Illness was an existential threat. So they had to figure something out. And what they figured out turns out to be one of the most fascinating, stranger-than-fiction stories in all of human history. Let's go back roughly 300,000 years. East Africa. Small bands of early Homo sapiens, maybe 20 to 50 people, moving across the landscape together. When one person got sick, the group noticed. And this is actually the first thing we can confirm from the archaeological record. Sick individuals were cared for. Researchers studying Neanderthal skeletons, our closest ancient cousins, have found something remarkable. Bones showing serious injuries, degenerative diseases, even signs of blindness, on individuals who lived for years after those conditions developed. A broken arm that healed. A jaw with missing teeth that the individual survived with for decades. These people couldn't have survived alone. Someone fed them. Someone looked after them. Care for the sick is literally written into the oldest bones we've ever found. But care isn't the same as treatment. So what did they actually do when someone was sick? The answer starts with plants. And it's older than we ever expected. In a cave in South Africa called Sibudu, archaeologists found bedding made from the leaves of a plant called Cryptocarya woodii, dating back 77,000 years. That plant is a natural insecticide and mosquito repellent. These early humans weren't just picking random leaves to sleep on. They were selecting specific plants with medicinal properties. By 60,000 years ago in Iraq, a Neanderthal was buried in a cave called Shanidar alongside flowers, including yarrow, groundsel, and ephedra. Every single one of those plants is medicinal. Yarrow stops bleeding. Ephedra is used to treat respiratory conditions even today. Coincidence? Researchers spent decades arguing about it. The current consensus? Probably not a coincidence. What this tells us is staggering. Humans have been practicing herbal medicine for at least 60,000 years. Possibly much longer. We didn't discover medicine. We've always been doing it, now. I need to warn you about the next part. Because ancient medicine wasn't all gentle herbs and bedside manner. Some of it was absolutely wild. Meet trepanation, the oldest surgical procedure ever performed on humans. It involves drilling, scraping, or cutting a hole in a living person's skull. And before you think this is a rare, horrifying aberration, archaeologists have found trepanned skulls on every continent except Antarctica. Over 1,500 individual cases, dating back over 10,000 years, from Peru to France to China. Here's the part that should make your jaw drop. Many of these skulls show regrowth around the hole, which means the patient survived. Not just the surgery, but years afterward. Some skulls show multiple trepanations. The same person had it done more than once. Why did they do it? The leading theories are relieving pressure from head injuries, treating persistent headaches or seizures, and possibly trying to release whatever spirit was causing the illness. Brutal? Yes. But also genuinely medical. They were solving a real problem with the tools they had. But surgery was the extreme case. For most illnesses, ancient humans turned to something else entirely. Something that sounds on the surface like superstition, but turns out to be built on very real neuroscience. They turned to ritual. Every ancient culture we've ever studied had a version of the same thing: a healer, a shaman, a medicine person who performed ceremonies over the sick, chanting, herbs, smoke, symbols drawn on skin, objects placed around the body. For a long time, Western science dismissed this as ignorance. Just magic. Just superstition. But here's what we now know. The placebo effect is one of the most powerful and least understood forces in human medicine. When you believe you're being healed, your brain releases real neurotransmitters. Your cortisol levels drop. Your immune response actually improves. Multiple randomized controlled trials have shown placebo responses so strong that the patient's symptoms genuinely, measurably reduced. Ancient humans didn't have a word for placebo. They didn't know why the ritual worked. But they knew it worked. And they were right. Modern medicine calls this the therapeutic ritual. The ceremony around medicine matters almost as much as the medicine itself. We just rediscovered in clinical trials what they figured out around a campfire 50,000 years ago. So what happened? Why did we move away from this? The Industrial Revolution. That's what happened. When medicine professionalized in the 1800s, which was genuinely necessary and life-saving, we also lost some things. We moved healing into isolated clinical settings. We separated it from community. We told people to go home, rest alone, and take the pill. And for a lot of people, something is missing. We feel weird being sick, guilty for being unproductive, alone in a way that doesn't feel natural. Because it isn't natural. For 99% of human history, getting sick meant the group gathered around you. Here's the thing about ancient medicine. It wasn't primitive. It was integrated. It combined physical treatment, real herbs with real pharmacological effects, with community support, ritual meaning, and the patient's own belief in recovery. Modern medicine has the pharmacology part figured out better than anyone in history. But we've quietly dropped the other pieces. The next time you're sick and someone brings you soup, or sits with you, or just stays nearby, that isn't a nice gesture. That is medicine. Exactly the way humans have been practicing it for 300,000 years. Your immune system isn't fighting alone. It never was. Your body isn't broken. It's remembering.